You know, we're always told to eat more fiber for a healthy gut. But it turns out that's really only half the story. See, inside you, there are two microscopic factories running, and which one is switched on has massive implications for your health. Okay, let's get into it.
So, get this for a statistic. A pretty startling 95% of people in high-income countries are actually deficient in a crucial nutrient that's produced inside their own bodies.
And nope, it's not what you're probably thinking. It's not vitamin C, it's not vitamin D. It's something much less talked about, but as we're finding out, it could be just as important.
So what is this huge, kinda hidden health issue? Well, we're talking about a whole new kind of deficiency. And it isn't about what's missing from our plates, but what's not being made inside our gut.
Some experts are now calling this a microbe-related nutrient deficiency. And to put it simply, it just means that our internal community of gut bacteria isn't producing enough of a really critical compound. And scientists are now drawing some serious lines between this shortage and many of the chronic diseases we're all facing today.
So, what is this mystery molecule then? Let's pull back the curtain and meet the hero of our story. A compound so important, it's literally being called the sunshine from within. I mean, this quote from Dr. Chris Damon at the University of Washington just says it all, doesn't it? It really captures the excitement around this molecule. It's called butyrate. And what's so fascinating is how it's actually made. So, butyrate is what's known as a short-chain fatty acid. But what's important is that you can't get it from a steak or a salad directly. It has to be manufactured on-site by specific bacteria in your gut when they get to feast on dietary fiber. And its main job, it's the #1 A+ preferred fuel for the cells that line your colon.
Just think of it like a biological assembly line, right? You eat the raw materials, that's the plant fibers. Your beneficial gut bacteria, they act as the factory workers, fermenting that fiber. And the final product? That's butyrate, which goes directly to nourishing and protecting your gut lining.
And its benefits are huge. Seriously, butyrate doesn't just feed your colon cells. It strengthens the gut barrier, helping to prevent what people call leaky gut. It actively reduces inflammation, and it even sends signals out to your immune system and all the way up to your brain. It's powerful stuff.
But here's the twist in the story. The butyrate factory isn't the only one in town. There's another, much less desirable, fermentation process that can take over. Let's take a look at what happens when the wrong factory starts running.
So you have to ask, what happens when that assembly line runs out of its main raw material, the fiber? Or what if it gets a huge oversupply of something else, like, say, undigested protein? Well, the factory doesn't just shut down. Oh no, it retools for a different job. So let's think of it this way. You've got two potential factories inside of you. On one side, you have the good factory. It's fueled by fiber, and it produces that amazing, beneficial butyrate. But on the other side, a totally different factory can take over, one that's fueled by excess protein. The big question is, what does it produce?
And this is where things get a little concerning. Because when that wrong factory is running, the byproducts, well, they can be actively harmful. So here's the crucial point. When those microbes are starved of the carbs and fiber they love, they don't just give up and go home. Nope. Certain types of bacteria will actually switch their fuel source. They'll start breaking down amino acids from protein in a process called proteolytic fermentation.
And instead of that sunshine from within molecule, you get this stuff. You get metabolites like ammonia, which can be toxic and actually starve your colon cells of energy. You get P-cresol, which is linked to DNA damage, and hydrogen sulfide, which in excess is associated with inflammation. This is not exactly a recipe for a happy, healthy gut.
And look, this isn't some rare biological event. It happens most often way down at the far end of the colon, which is where fiber often runs out. And the research is showing it's particularly common in people on long-term diets that are very high in protein but super low in carbohydrates, which basically starves the gut of its preferred fuel.
Okay, that all sounds pretty grim, I know. But here is the good news, the really good news. You are the master gardener of your own gut. You have almost complete control over which factory is operating on any given day.
And let's be crystal clear about this. Protein is not the enemy here, at all. It's absolutely essential for our bodies. The issue is simply one of balance. The real goal is just to make sure your fiber fermenting factory never, ever runs out of its raw materials.
And here's how it works.
It's actually pretty cool. When there's plenty of fiber, that fermentation process produces things like butyrate, which makes the gut environment more acidic. That acidity, in turn, naturally suppresses the enzymes that drive that harmful protein fermentation. It literally creates an environment where the good guys thrive and the bad factory stays offline.
So how do we keep that good factory humming along? Well, we feed it what it loves. We're talking about whole grains like oatmeal and brown rice, legumes like beans and lentils and chickpeas, a huge variety of colorful fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, and yes, even dark chocolate is a source.
So what's the target you should be aiming for? Well, most guidelines recommend about 25 to 35 grams of fiber every day. That seems to be the sweet spot needed to keep that butyrate production line running smoothly.
And finally, just remember this: variety is everything. A diverse diet full of all kinds of different plants leads directly to a diverse and resilient microbiome. I mean, you wouldn't want to eat the same meal every single day, right? Well, neither do your gut microbes.
So the big takeaway here is this: your diet feeds more than just you. The next time you sit down to a meal, I want you to remember those two factories and ask yourself, who are you really feeding? Because every single bite you take is a choice. It's a vote for which factory you want running inside of you.